many times the tests are not necessarily for us at that moment. Maybe they're for the people around us. Check this out. David tells a story, and I'm going to read it to you real fast. But check this story out. Real life. This is what happened to him. When our family left Iran years ago, we used my mother's heart problems as an excuse to leave the country. Any of you that were at Youth Evangelism Conference, you heard David's testimony. And that's how they left Iran. They escaped Iran. And they used his mother's heart problems as an excuse to leave the country. A few years after that, it wasn't an excuse anymore. The doctors told her she needed to have 2 clogged arteries in her heart opened and 2 valves replaced. So our whole family took her to the hospital. They wheeled her into the operating room for an initial angiogram. I don't know if you've ever experienced the feeling of someone that you love looking at you from the hospital stretcher saying, "If I don't see you in a few hours, I'll see you in heaven. This is not goodbye." But it was the summit of fear for David, he says. My brother Benjamin didn't understand how serious the procedure might be, but the rest of us did. My mom was a strong believer by this time, but my dad still held to his Muslim background. My sister and I prayed with my mom. Then the nurses wheeled her away. We sat in the waiting room and waited. After a little while, a red light flashed above the door of the operating room where they had taken my mom. My sister had been allowed to stand just inside the door, and she ran out to tell us Mom had almost died. She had a rare allergic reaction to the dye that they injected into her in order to do the angiogram. That red light on the ceiling, my sister explained as she gasped for breath, is a signal something is wrong, really wrong. Pray that it won't flash on again during the rest of the operation. We sat back down and waited nervously. In a few minutes, the red light began flashing like crazy again. We heard someone say, "Code red in room 324. We knew Mom had another allergic reaction and was dying. My sister Benjamin and I ran to the door of the operating room and got on our knees. We prayed, "Oh Jesus, don't let my mom die. Please don't let her die." After a few seconds, I felt a hand on my back and I saw a hand extend past me to the door. It was the first time in my dad's life that he kneeled and acknowledged Jesus. He prayed, "Jesus, don't let her die. Please, Jesus." A few minutes later, the door opened and the doctor told us that they had to resuscitate her to bring her back, but she was going to be okay. We were so happy God had granted our requests. A week or so after the official open heart surgery, Mom was at home and my sister and I related the story of praying in front of the operating room door. We told her about Dad calling out to Jesus for her. She was astonished and asked Dad, "Did you really pray to Jesus?" He looked sheepish and mumbled, "Yes." "Do you believe in Jesus now?" "Yes." My dad then prayed to receive Christ as his Savior and Lord. See, God had a curriculum for each one of them that day. And each of them faced a different test to see if they would trust in Him, to see if they would cry out to Him. And we passed the test, he says, and our faith was a catalyst for my dad calling out to Jesus. And so here a man was saved through the testing of their faith. And so I encourage you, as you go to your own time right now, number one, describe some recent experiences in which God gave you enough joy to encourage you, enough love to strengthen you, enough success to build your confidence, enough suffering to force you to depend on Him, and enough confusion to make you seek His face. And that's all under number one. Number two, what are some differences between God's curriculum and what we usually want His curriculum to be? Number three, have you experienced any times of a dark night of the soul? That's that period of darkness. Have you ever experienced any time like that? And describe that time. Number four, read Isaiah 55:9 again. And does this passage encourage you or discourage you? Read Romans 5:3-5. What does Paul say about God's curriculum in our lives? Read James 1:2-7 and think about each verse and use it as a guide to pray. And then go over those last passages of scriptures that you memorized. Isaiah 26:8, Galatians 2:20, and Psalm 56, 3 through 4. And practice those until you can say them without looking. Well, that is day 16, and looking forward to day 17. See you soon.